flame to share and create memories of holidays present and past. A flame to gather round as the days grow short and cold. A flame built by the oldest of human endeavors, storytelling. Live from the Cottage Bistro in beautiful British Columbia, I'm Deb Williams. Welcome to The Flame, the Holiday Edition 2015. Welcome. A flame is a golden beacon that draws us into the glow. A flame that fires up the storyteller in us all. So lean in, warm yourself around these true stories and holiday memories. Our first storyteller tonight is Patrick Lucas. Patrick is going to write everyone he knows this holiday a song on the piano, and he has no idea how to play the piano, so he bets they won't soon forget his gift. Patrick Lucas.
My mom makes the world's best tortilla, a succulent, savory minced meat filling in a crispy, fluffy pie crust, baked to perfection, and then covered in a light sprinkling of au jus. It tastes like Christmas, like home. It's Christmas time, 1983, and I'm 8 years old, and my family is living in Germany. As part of the Canadian Air Force, we've been posted overseas for a 3-year tour. My mom only makes tortilla once a year. The smell of the spiced meats and the baking pastry filling up our small apartment and making us all feel like we're home again. I'm out shopping with my father, and we come upon a large wooden structure that looks like a wildlife viewing platform. A long set of stairs lead up to a deck overlooking the Berlin Wall, a massive concrete barrier that cuts up the middle of the street, splitting a city and a continent in two. There are some people sharing the deck with us, a young German couple, and the man is holding up a baby over his head like it's the Lion King, like he's presenting a newborn monarch. The woman is very excited. She's jumping up and down, and she's waving, and she's pointing and shouting over at the other side of the wall. I can't see what they're so excited about. All I see is high chain link fences, slinky snakes of razor wire, and a few soldiers that stand motionless like little plastic army figures. My father points it out for me with his arm out like a rifle sight, and I see him. There's a man standing far beyond the wall, back past the fences where the guards can't see him, and he's waving back at us. And suddenly I feel like I'm an intruder encroaching on a very private and intimate moment. They're blowing kisses, crying. We watch the man as he walks off down a long street and disappears from sight. And I can't imagine what it would be like to spend Christmas like that, alone, being able to see your family, but not being able to touch them or speak to them. It's Christmas Eve, and the whole family is going to midnight mass. Now, I love midnight mass because when it's over, we get to come home, we get to stay up late, eat my mom's tortilla with au jus. And best of all, I get to open one Christmas present hours before any of my friends get to open theirs. Midnight Mass is led by Father Roy, a French-Canadian Air Force chaplain. I love his voice. It's a deep, thick French accent, descendant from Le Coeur de Bois, the runners of the wood who plied the forest through the old forests of Quebec. It pours out of his throat like a mighty river tumbling over rocks and falls. Bonjour, Patrice. Comment ça va? May God be with you. I smell something on his breath. Alcohol. Father Roy loves his red wine, and he would always get a little tipsy for midnight mass. As the service would progress, he'd be sipping from his chalice that holds the blood of Christ, and his Quebecois twang would get thicker and deeper and richer. It's hard to understand, but it's okay. Most of the congregation is German, and he's giving the sermon entirely in Latin. It's deeply hypnotic, lulling us into a meditative spiritual trance. And somewhere in the back of my mind, a thought begins to form, and I have a vision. It's Father Roy. He's in the darkened church after everyone's gone home. He's alone. I see him kneeling at the altar, his robes flowing out around him. He's crying. I cannot allow this vision to come true. I turn to my mom sitting next to me and I say to her, Mom, we have to take Father Roy home with us. Please, 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 please. He can stay in my room. I hit her with the Hail Mary. Mom, I don't want him to be alone. Isn't that what Jesus would do? We all go home together with Father Roy. We eat our tortilla with the au jus. I open my one Christmas present. It's a book outlining all the bold and creative strategies that people have used to escape the Eastern Bloc. Father Roy gets completely hammered. My parents hinting at him to go home, but he just waves them off with, no, more wine, more pie. Eventually, he passes out, his snores filling up our small apartment and filling our heads with thoughts of the Heavenly Father and earplugs. I wake up. It's Christmas morning, and everything is right with the world. There's no fences or guards between me and my family. Father Roy is at the front door. He's preparing to leave. And there's a news story playing on the radio. A man escaped from East Berlin overnight by ramming his car through the gates of Checkpoint Charlie. He survived, and he's spending his Christmas reunited with his family. I give Father Roy a big hug, and I watch him as he walks off down a long street and disappears from sight. My mom still makes her tortilla every year. And for my present, I've asked her to teach me her recipe to ensure the tradition continues. Thank you.
This holiday season, we're adding circus school to Lily's artistic pursuits so she can explore her inner clown. Create memories.
Not garbage. This year, Mom and Dad are giving Grandma a tablet for Christmas. And I'm gonna teach her how to upload her latest dance moves. Create memories, not garbage.
All you need is a spark to start the flame.
Our next storyteller is Eleanor Lipov. Eleanor will reduce Christmas consumer waste the way she has done every year by remaining Jewish. Eleanor Lipov.
The Jewish holiday observed this time of year is Hanukkah, Festival of Lights, celebrating lightness over darkness. My story tonight is about a light that came into my life that lit the way through my darkness. The Atlantic Ocean is 40,000 feet below me. I reach over and take my boyfriend's hand and squeeze it out of nervous excitement. I'm 20 and I'm on my way to Israel to live there for a year on a kibbutz with my boyfriend, Carl. To the great disapproval of my parents, I quit university and took a job at a bakery, cutting endless loaves of bread and the occasional finger. I'm very excited. I'm flying over London. I'm eating a bagel with cream cheese and lox. My boyfriend, Carl, turns to me and says, Eleanor, I think we should break up. I just don't find you stimulating enough. I can't believe this is happening. I can feel my head dislocating from my body. I think I'm going to throw up. My return ticket is exactly a year from today, and it's non-refundable. Carl says, why are you crying? I press my swollen eyes and runny nose against the window of the plane and stare into space. There is no way I'm returning back. I'm going back to Montreal. I'm going to stick out the entire year in Israel, come hell or high water. We arrive on the kibbutz. A kibbutz is a socialist farming community. My kibbutz has about 600 members and young people like myself that come from all over the world to volunteer to work for room and board. Every day, Carl is making out with another volunteer. Yesterday, he's in the banana fields with Janet, kissing her. Today, I find him in the dining room with Kathy, whispering sweet nothings into her ear. Tonight, he's in the discotheque, which is really the bomb shelter, holding hands with Susan. I am going out of my mind. He is driving me crazy. I go up to Carl and say, Carl, you've got to leave. You've got to find another place to live. I cannot stand seeing you with all these other girls. To my amazement, he goes. He finds another place to live. Soon after, I meet a kibbutznik, an Israeli, a peacenik. We fall in love. On one of our days off, we go to a remote place to go hiking. We take a path. There's a beautiful stream going through the forest, and on the sides there are shepherds herding their goats. We veer off the path, and we scramble over rocks and bushes, making sure not to touch the cactus plants. We push our way through some thick bushes and find ourselves in a big open field. The soil here is soft and moist, and we can see our footprints as we walk. All of a sudden, Amnon takes off running. At first, I think it's a game, so I run after him. But he doesn't stop. He keeps running. He's in great shape, not like me, who's been stuffing her face with halava ever since I arrived in Israel. I say, Amnon, stop, wait, I can't keep up. My heart is pounding. I'm perspiring. My legs are like jelly. And I just keep following him in these footprints. And then I hear yelling in a distance, yelling and dogs barking. And as I get closer, I see an enormous fence, thick fence with massive tangled barbed wire above it. As I continue walking towards there, I see 4 soldiers with Uzi guns strapped over their shoulders, and they're holding on to German shepherds. Finally, I catch up to Amnon, and there's the soldier screaming at him in Hebrew, which I can't understand. A soldier escorts us through a gate in the fence and onto the road. Amnon holds me close, kisses me, and says, honey, we were just in no man's land between Lebanon and Israel. It's a minefield. And I knew if I told you, you would not move, you would freeze. And I can tell you for a fact that no helicopter would come to rescue us. No one would come to get us. And I knew if I ran fast in front of you, you would follow in my footprints. And if one of us were to be blown up, it would be me. Thank you.
This holiday season, I'm giving my brother Paul 2 weeks of dog walking. And maybe a little dog sitting too. Create memories, not garbage.
My sister loves shoes, so I'm giving her time to shop. And I got time with my niece. Right, Yihan? Create memories, not garbage.
All imperfect, all got something right. Sometimes I miss a meal and then I eat a whole pie. We're all coping, so just do what you do. Everyone needs something. Everyone needs something. Everyone needs something to get them through.
Our next storyteller is Rogi Yu. Now, Rogi is going to take his 2 kids into the woods where they will collect fallen pine and cedar branches. Then they're going to take them home and they're going to stick them into cardboard cones, and everybody's going to make their own Christmas tree for themselves. Isn't that a great idea? Another great idea? Rogi Yu. Rogi Yu!
We don't celebrate Christmas because we're Buddhists. We got Buddhist-y stuff at home, altars and stuff. We pray to our ancestors. We celebrate the lunar calendar. We all have 2 birthdays. But if you were to come into our house on Christmas Day and hit a mute button, it would look a lot like Christmas. I have 3 sisters. 2 of them live in Ontario. 1 in Montreal, where my parents' house was. So we'd all come together and we'd be there for Christmas, like a week or so. My parents had an awesome house. It was not a mansion, but it was really big. It was like really huge, and we all pitched in to fix up the basement, and there was like this middle floor and a top floor. But we had this staircase that went up to the top floor and had this really nice green carpet and kind of curved to the left. And at the base of it, there was this circle space where, as the family came in, they would just kind of dump the presents there. And we'd have this huge pile of presents. A full complement on Christmas would be my mom, my dad, my 3 sisters, 4 boys between all of them, 3 brother-in-laws, my best friend Pierre, who is Cantonese, and 5 or 10 family friends and their kids, and myself. Right? We'd all be hanging around, freaking out in the house. And so I'm 17, and I'm looking at this mountain of gifts. And I'm like, something's missing, man. Like, something's missing, man. Right? I'm like saying this in my head, And then suddenly, all of these, like every Christmassy thing I'd ever absorbed in my life goes crashing through my brain, right? Like The Grinch Who Stole Christmas, Charlie Brown Christmas Special, right? All this, like, all my friends' houses had Christmas trees and stuff. And I'm like, we need a tree, man. And I realize now that I think what I was feeling was I wanted to be what I thought was more Canadian. So I go to my mom, right? Because, she's the boss. And I find her on her perch, smoking her Benson and Hedges, right? She's like this big. I'm like, hey, Mom, I think we need a Christmas tree, right? She goes, what? Why? We don't celebrate Christmas. I'm like, yeah, I know, Mom, but, wouldn't that be cool? Like, all the gifts and the kids are here and the Christmas spirit, let's get a tree, right? No. I'm like, okay, Mom, let's get a tree. No. Mom, let's get a tree. She looks at me, slaps me with her eyeballs. No. And so I take it. Ugh. Okay, Mom, buy it for me for my birthday. Because my birthday's in December. And she's like, you really want a plastic tree for your birthday? I'm like, yeah. Right? So she's like, no. I'm like, Mom, okay. Buy it for me for my birthday and for Christmas. So she grins, looks at me. Okay. No presents, no money, no cigarettes. Yeah, because I smoked at the time, right? And I'm like, yeah, no cigarettes. Right? She's like, okay. So it's Christmas Eve, right? She gives me some cash. I go to Sears. It's still open, and I buy a tree in a huge box. Bring it home. So one of them plastic trees, right? I open it, I'm setting it up. It's one of those like color-coded wire branches that you stick into the middle of a green stick with the holes, right? And I'm setting it up. Kids are running around. Everyone's freaking out. Kitchen is hopping, right? Like my mom is cooking, this big. The wok's like this big. She's one-handing that thing, right? Just like one-handing it. It is so impressive, right? I'm not even joking, This is exactly what she was doing. She was so powerful. And so I finally get the tree set up, right? It comes with tinsel. So I'm like, wow, awesome. And I bought some lights, right? I'm just about to plug it in. I'm wiring it to the basement and stuff, right? So I'm like, Ma, hey, Ma. What? Ma, come here. I want to show you something. I'm cooking the noodles. I know. It's just the noodles will be fine. Just, I physically go, right? Grab her. Somehow in the middle, she's found a way to light a Benson and Hedges, right? So I'm like, whatever. So, she comes over, right? And she's looking at the tree and stuff. And I'm like, watch this. Plug it in. Boom. Right? Boom. Lights up. It's so beautiful. It really is. It's my first tree ever, right? And I'm like, and it's literally my tree. It's like a present, right? And so, I'm like, Mom, right? And she goes, do what? I'm like, what do you mean, do what? What does it do? I'm like, so we put the presents underneath it. Look, I put all the presents underneath it. This is Christmas, right? And she goes, oh. Like she's being polite to me, right? Like, oh. Walks away, shrugs, and walks away back to the giant walk, right? I'm like, okay, cool, whatever, whatever. I'm so happy about it, right? So then dinner is being made. It's this huge mishmash of stuff, steamed fish, rack of lamb, white rice, stir-fried noodles. Always got to have noodles because they represent long life, okay? Mashed potatoes, Yorkshire puddings. It's just so many different things at the table, right? And it was great, we just ate it all, right? So, and no gravy, come to think of it. That's weird. We did not use a lot of gravy. Okay. Wow, that was a real moment there. Okay, so we use a lot of gravy now in my house. So we finish dinner, and then everybody goes to the living room, right, where my mom sits in this big couch chair, very much like a throne, really. And she sits there like the queen. She is the matriarch of our family, no doubt. Somebody brings an ashtray for her. Somebody brings the Benson and Hedges. She doesn't even have to bring them herself, just boom. It's bang, it just all happens. And she's saying, and then the nephews and all the kids, friends of friends, they all bang into a living room, sitting around her on the arms of the big throne chair, and they're opening gifts, just tearing it apart, ooh, wow, look at this, grandma, and all this, look at this auntie, all this stuff, and they're loving the loot. And my mom is smiling. She's smiling, and the image is so vivid, in my mind, because she didn't smile a lot. She was a person that worried a lot. She worried a lot about money and people and things, and what was happening. And her and I spent a lot of time together, because when my sisters were all older, they're out of the house. It was her and I, And I was serious with her a lot. You know, me smoking my Dunhills. You know? And we would just sit there in the kitchen, being serious with each other, smoking our cigarettes, you know? I'm like 17, right? And but once in a while, she would say something, or I would say something, and we'd laugh. Just the two of us in this huge house, and we'd laugh, and her laugh would be so free and loud, you know, and I didn't see that often except every year at Christmas time. You know, she would have this like smile and she would laugh. And it was so beautiful. And, you know, so as the years go by, you know, I tell this story, something with a little chuckle and remember something here and there. And you know, but this year is like kind of like a year of firsts, you know, for me. Because, you know, it'll be the first Christmas without my mom, you know, because she passed in August. And you know, I think about this memory, and I feel like it just brings me so much like I'm with my mom, you know, when I think about it, because it was like her and I a lot together, and those moments were really tight, you know. And that tree, like we had that tree for like 10 years, right? It just like went on, you know. And that tree is like somewhere in a basement or a garage right now, I guess, in some house in either like Montreal or Toronto. And well, you know, I guess maybe I gotta go find that tree this year. Thank you. This holiday, it's time to make it right. Yes, I'll do away with Canadian politeness. For 364 days, you can avoid my gaze. Christmas time, we're making eye contact.